What's up, people? Welcome to Riding on Ruby. Well, guess what? No! Ruby is gonna be out of service. I don't know what's going on, but here's the story. My last video I did, you saw me going to work, and everything was cool. That was a Wednesday. Thursday, it was another nice day, so I was riding on Ruby again to go to work. Well, when I got there, all of a sudden I noticed that there's a lot of wetness and it looked red, and the only thing that I know of in this bike that's red is the coolant. And it was leaking. I'll show you over here. Don't mind me moving the camera. It was over here on this primary area. There was a puddle on that, and it was wet over in this area, but at the same time it was also had a puddle over here above this. So I'm thinking, like, well, you know, I don't know what's going on, and you know, it's looked and smelled like antifreeze or coolant, whatever. So I said, well, you know, there was nothing dripping on the ground. So I wiped it all down, cleaned it all up, and did my afternoon routes. You know, about 3 hours later, I got back on it. Still no sign of wetness anywhere. Rode her home, the 20-minute ride home, and still nothing. So I thought, well, maybe it's a fluke. You know, maybe when I went through that little construction area and something was moving alongside of me or something, maybe they splashed a puddle and it kicked up or something, or maybe I put my feet down at a stop or something, and when I got stuff on my bottom of my shoes, and then when I picked it up and then start riding, you know, when they're on the peg, maybe the wind blew it up onto the bike. But I don't know. So I got home, nothing there. I let her sit there for about 20 minutes and still nothing. So I'm like, well, then maybe it was a fluke. All right, so I didn't ride her Friday because, you know, it's payday, and, you know, got to do the bank and get some groceries and whatnot, you know. So Saturday morning, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with the guys, and that's like a 5-minute ride down the street. So I went up the street for a 2-minute ride, topped her off with fuel or gas. It was like $5.75 for, like, I don't know, a gallon and a half or so. I only went like 80 something miles after the last fill up. All right, so everything was cool. I drive down the street for another 4-minute ride, get down to the, you know, place we hang out, Panera Bread, and get off the bike, shut her down, and oh, it's all wet again. So the other guys looked at it, you know, what, we can't determine where it's coming from. It could be coming from above. It could be leaking from the bottom and being blown back up. I mean, I have no idea. I'm totally baffled. And it's not like it happens every time. So before I made this video, I got Ruby out of the shed. I fired her up and I let her run for 20 minutes. I finally heard the fan kick on. So I know, well, she must be hot, because, I mean, even when I'm riding, I think only once in the year that I've been riding her, I've only heard that fan go on one time. But with the loud muffler, maybe I don't hear it when I'm actually riding. I don't know. So I can't, you know, be 100% that that's I only heard it go on one time. So I shut her down, looking and looking, not one single drip anywhere. And it's in my head now, and like everyone else says, is, let's say, for example, it's a hose where you can't see it, it's buried in there somewhere and it's starting to pull off. Well, once she gets hot and I'm doing some riding, it might pop off, and then, oh, here comes this, you know, flood, this huge eruption of coolant, you know, possibly burning me, you know, getting all over the bike, and then I'm going to be dead in the water somewhere. So I guess the only choice is to get it to the dealer. So Ruby's a 2019 Street 500, and I bought her in 2020 in September 29th. So she's under warranty until September 29th, 2022. All right, so I text the salesman that, you know, got me into buying the bike. And he said, well, here's the number for the service department. All right, so I'll call the service department. So I call them, just get like a busy signal. Wait half hour, call back again. Still a busy signal. Well, I did this about 7 or 8 times throughout the day. I finally got to the point where it was just ringing, and I left a message, gave my name, address, the bike, you know, the whole deal. This is where I got a coolant leak, but I'm not sure where it is, blah, blah, blah. Here's my cell phone number, call me back. Never got a call or nothing. But it's funny, yet though, ever since I bought this bike, every week I get a text from the dealer saying, hey, we got a 1200, why don't you come in and do a test ride, you know, maybe it's time to upgrade, blah, blah, blah. But now all of a sudden I got a problem, nobody wants to know me. So I ended up calling, and that dealer is like about an hour away. And I'm not going to try riding Ruby an hour all the ways up there, you know, because I don't know what's going to happen, if something's going to blow or not. So I'm pretty sure that when I was talking either with a salesman when I bought Ruby or with maybe the financing people, but I said, well, if the bike breaks down, what happens? You know, if I can't ride it there, and they're like, oh, well, we'll come and we'll pick it up, you know, for free. And then, but you either got to ride it back home, or I think he even said that, like, if you pay like $100, we'll deliver it back. So I'm like, well, you know, I'm gonna stick with them, you know, because if that's true, and I figured I'd ask them that first. Well, they never got through, so I ended up calling Freedom Road Harley Davidson, which is only about 30 minutes away from me. I think it's like a 25 mile or 27 mile ride on the back roads. You know, I don't want to go on the highway with it and really get that thing pumping and all that pressure building up. So anyways, I talked to some lady in the service department, told her the situation, and she's like, well, give the other dealer, you know, it's usually better if you go to the dealer you bought it, but it doesn't matter really where you go. She says, so I said, well, I'm going to call them again on Tuesday morning, because they're closed Mondays. They're open Sundays, but the service department's not there. So I'm going to call them on Tuesday on my morning break, and then see what they say. If, you know, if they're like, yeah, we'll come pick it up for free, whatever, blah, 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 then I'll do it. You know, I'll say, all right, give me a time, you know, here's when I'm available, you know, come get her. And I figured I got about 617 miles on the odometer right now. So I figured, well, if she's gonna be there, you know what, do the 1,000-mile service. You know, it's like $475. So, you know, if I throw that in there too, you know, maybe they'll say, hey, we're gonna make some money, you know, let's get this bike up here, you know, maybe they'll come and pick it up. You know, the other one, the Freedom one, they said, no, you got to tow it down or you know, trailer it or whatever. You know, they're not going to do that. But maybe old school, hey, you know, they treat their customers good, hopefully, so maybe, yeah, we'll get it for you, you know. And then after that, you know, when it's done, you know, we go from there. So that's the story. You know, I don't really trust her. I was hoping, you know, I didn't know at first that they were closed on Sunday. So, I mean, on Monday. So I thought, hey, I got Monday off, Columbus Day, so does my buddies. You know, maybe we could, you know, bring it down there. But I'm probably going to have to end up riding her down there on Saturday. You know, it's hopefully, you know, just keep an eye on it, you know, and have somebody, you know, follow me down. Or actually, I'll have to follow them because I'm not familiar with that area or anything. So, you know, hopefully she'll get down there, and maybe if she's leaking by the time I get there, it'll be easier for him to figure it out. But she could be sitting down there for at least a good week or maybe more. Who knows how far backed up they are, you know, and to do the service and then find out what the problem is, if they got to get a part or something. I did go on YouTube, and there was a guy that had a leak on a 750, which is exactly the same bike as Ruby, except for the motor. It's got bigger bore, bigger heads, but everything else is identical on the bikes. And his was leaking right in the area of the housing where the thermostat is, and one of the hoses was leaking from those factory clamps. He ended up putting a hose clamp on there, tightened it up, and it solved that one. He had to take apart the housing, and there was like a little burr or a bump on one of the wasn't an O-ring, but more like a gasket that kind of looked like an O-ring. And he sanded it off, put it all back together, and he claims it works. So I thought, well, maybe this is like a similar issue to what I got. So I had her running for 20 minutes. I put some paper towels in various spots to see if it was like, is it dripping from the top down? Is it dripping from the bottom and blowing up when I'm riding? I have no idea. So basically, Ruby's out of service. I'm not going to be riding her until at least Saturday to get her down to Freedom Road, and then, you know, see what happens. It should be a warranty thing, you know. But there's one thing that I had to do, and I hope these people don't watch my YouTube channel, but I had to take off that nice Firebrand loose cannon muffler that sounds so excellent, nice and deep and throaty like a Harley should be, and put back on the stock sewing machine sounding muffler. Oh my God, it's embarrassing riding it with that muffler on there. I feel like I'm riding like a little scooter or something. Oh my God, that is crazy. But anyways, it took me about 15-20 minutes to take the old one off, which was on a year, and then put this one back on. You know, wasn't a big deal, but you know, if I know 2 other people that did change their mufflers with aftermarket ones, and because they changed it, they voided out the warranty. So I put that back on, and then we'll just hope that, you know, they don't, and you know, which, you know, I don't think they do, but you know, hopefully they don't, and they'll just bring it in. I mean, all the other stuff that I did, like these mirrors, I put on these cool mirrors. You know, they match almost perfectly to Ruby from Walmart.com, and I had to buy these. Let me show you on this side over here. I had to buy these little brackets right there, you know, from Walmart, and that's like a 10 millimeter. I wanted a 10 millimeter because at the bottom of this there was a 10 millimeter, but they ended up sending me the 8 millimeter one. So the mirrors came with a little adapter from 10 millimeter to 8 millimeter. So it worked out. You know, these things are great. You can move them anywhere you want. They're awesome, you know. And then of course I put the saddlebags on. Then again, still shouldn't void a warranty. The sissy bar and the docking stuff from, well, the sissy bar and was from Amazon, and the uprise, but the docking kit's from Harley, and then this air cleaner is from Harley. Now if I wanted to spend $350 for the nightstick from Harley, they would have put it on, or even if I bought it through Harley and put it on myself, they would consider the warranty not voided. But because you have an aftermarket one, oh, you ruined the whole motorcycle. Oh, you know. So that's about right where I stand right now. I'm just a little stressed out. I'm a little worried about Ruby. And, you know, I don't understand why it didn't leak this time, but, I mean, maybe the next time I ride it's gonna, because that's how it was before. It did it one day, the next day it didn't, and did it the next day. So I don't know if it's when like the thermostat changes and it switches and it starts dripping while it's, you know, going from the radiator to the engine to the radiator. I'm not sure. But either way, Ruby's gonna be sitting here until I could get her down to one of the dealers, probably the closest one, and we'll have to go from there. So hopefully I'll be able to do maybe either a video on the ride down there, and then once I go to pick her up, do a video, you know, coming back or whatever. It depends. If it's down there for 2 weeks, we're already talking the end of October. We could be snowing in 2 weeks. You know, a couple years ago we had a freak storm with all the leaves, and like, look at all these leaves on all the trees right now still, you know. And we had this freak ice storm that came like somewhere in the middle of October, and it knocked out every power line you could think of. My town had no power for 8 days, 7 days. It was 7 nights and 8 days we had no power. That was horrible, let me tell you. Luckily, the town next to us has a different type of their own electrical, system. So we're at least able to go there. But let me tell you, the house was down to 42 degrees. It was horrible. We had to go out in the car and put the heater on just to warm up. So just don't know what's going to happen. Could have snow, for Halloween. We just don't know. So I might have to have it either towed back or trailered or something. So anyways, that's where it stands. So as usual, people, I hope you're all out there having a great day. You're being safe. Hopefully you're still able to ride. And I'll see you soon in some type of an update or something. So as usual, please like, subscribe, hit the ding-a-ling bell for the next video. And as usual, peace out, people.